I am the Namer, guardian of the names of power. Before your world even existed, my people were an ancient race. Now they are gone, and only I remain, keeper of my people's history. Across the endless tracts of space have I traveled, to return to the planet of my birth, Zoidstar. Though my people perished long ago, and their cities were buried by the shifting sands, the machines remain. It is these that have brought me here to perform the last act of the Zoidarian race, the giving of the names of power. When my race was young and had an interest in the affairs of the galaxy, they built the machines, mighty engines of destruction which gave the power of life and death over the other creatures in the galaxy. The Zoidarians turned their gaze outward and laid waste to 1,000 star systems with their machines, their Zoids. But ruling a galaxy was not enough for the Zoidarians. It was not the conquests, but the battles they enjoyed. And though all intelligent life trembled in the shadow of the Zoids, my people battled on, machine against machine, Zoidarian against Zoidarian, in the further pursuit of glory. Zoidarian lives were needlessly sacrificed to the god of battle, and the race dwindled in numbers until the elders outlawed the Zoid duels. But they couldn't outlaw the Zoidarian love of combat. The Zoidarian pilots of the giant war machines were replaced by androids, and thus the heroic combat could continue without threat to Zoidarian life. Too late came the order. Too late to save a once mighty race from extinction, and now only I remain. Only I and the Zoids. And though my people created the Zoids, I have no power to control them. For the war machines have become the living embodiment of the Zoidarian thirst for combat, with lives and wills of their own. They exist only to fight, to ensure that their heroic combat lasts for all eternity. Now I stand on the sand-blasted surface of a world I used to call home, high on a rock, scanning the horizon for some sign of movement, knowing that out there, behind the sand clouds, lurk the deadliest war machines in the universe. It begins!
Change. Scope of design and power finds new range. Gurantula surpassed by greater Zoid. Meet Guysack, the Scorpion Zoid android. Click and steel claws, laser beam tail string. Guysack is Earth technology offspring. Glowing orange eyes and steel carapace. Scorpion war machine of new Zoid race. Guysack, Helic Republic Scorpion. Guysack, great Zoid war machine ruffian. Guysack, master of desert combat eon. Guysack, scourge of empire the Protean. Guysack, Helic Republic Scorpion. Guysack, great Zoid war machine ruffian. Guysack, master of desert combat eon. Guysack, scourge of empire of Protean. On planet C, the war grows ever more. Republic, Virus, Empire, and Holy War. Helic fights, Cinnabus with Zoids of might. Laser beams and heavy guns light the night. Masters of desert war, Guysack's hold sway. Combat robots, Scorpions, night and day. Bursting from sand dunes to ambush their prey. Before diving sight with sand spray. Guysack, Republic, Scorpion. Guysack, Great Zoid, War Machine, Ruffian. Guysack, Master of Desert Combat, Eon. Guysack, Scourge of Empire, the Protean. Mass-produced steel scorpions rule the sand. Guysack's keep empire at bay, Helic grand. Fearless symbol of Republic machines fight before fading under shadow of night. Guysack, Helic Republic, Scorpion. Guysack, Great Zoid, War Machine, Ruffian. Guysack, Master of Desert Combat, Eon. Guysack, Scourge of Empire, the Protean. Helic Republic, Scorpion. Guysack, Great Zoid, War Machine, Ruffian. Guysack, Master of Desert Combat, Eon. Guysack, Scourge of Empire, the Protean.
I hear the unmistakable sound of an approaching Zoid, and I turn to gaze at the scuttling machine. Its bulky, armored body is supported on 8 slender legs. Its guns point directly at me. But I feel no fear. This creature is fast. So fast, even my eyes find it hard to follow. I have seen this creature before. It is the quickest of all Zoids. For the first time, I open my mouth to utter this creature's name of power.
Monster machines on planet Zoidstar clash. Zoids in heroic combat bash and thrash. Deadly mechanized warfare, all against all. Scorpozoid cross the desert tracks to squall. No alliances, family Zoid fights Zoid. To one reign supreme and the rest destroyed. Scorpozoid crush, rip and tear with steel claw. Metallic scorpion, robots in awe. Scorpozoid, lost machines on Zoidstar. Scorpozoid, lose a ground from space afar. Scorpozoid, guardians fight mutants with pride. Scorpozoids cross the divide. Scorpozoids, monster machines on Zoidstar. Scorpozoids, blue Zoids proud from space afar. Scorpozoids, guardians fight mutants with pride. Scorpozoids, roots out red Zoids till none hide. But now come the red Zoids to claim Zoidstar. Savage metal mutes and monsters bizarre. Led by red horn they seek blue Zoid capture. But Scorpozoid won't fall to their rapture. Metal claw Scorpozoid will fight all. Laser beam tail stinger sounds a war call. Bright orange laser eyes, blue steel shell. Scorpion monster machine brings war hell. Scorpozoid, monster machines on Zoidstar. Scorpozoid, lose a ground from space afar. Scorpozoid, guardians fight mutants with pride. Scorpozoids cross the divide. Scorpozoids, monster machines on Zoidstar. Scorpozoids, blue Zoids proud from space afar. Scorpozoids, guardians fight mutants with pride. Scorpozoids, roots out red Zoids till none hide. And the mighty Zoidzilla, blue Zoids stand, defiant against red Zoid's metal hand. Scorpozoids fight to the last on sand dune. Blast away red mutants, leave their scraps through. Scorpozoid, monster machines on Zoidstar. Scorpozoid, losers proud from space afar. Scorpozoid, guardians fight mutants with pride. Scorpozoids cross the divide. Scorpozoids, monster machines on Zoidstar. Scorpozoids, blue Zoids proud from space afar. Scorpozoids, on iron grounds. Blue guardians down the heart, lights and fury in the sky.
It is the never-ending battle between red and blue Zoids. It has been waged for centuries. It rages still, with no end in sight. I, the Namer, last of the Zoidarians, guardian of the names of power, keeper of the legend of heroic combat, have spoken.